everyone. I'm Dan Stapleton, and this is Justin Davis.
Hello, hello.
We are talking about Civilization V Brave New World, which is the new expansion coming out on July 9th.
July 9th. So this is the second major expansion?
This is the second expansion. There's been loads and loads of DLC here, but I got to play around with this for a little bit. It's this one. The first expansion was focused mostly on improving warfare. But when you didn't want to kill everybody and conquer the world, the gameplay was not nearly as interesting because you weren't managing a bunch of things. Now this one has gone back and added a bunch of culture gameplay basically.
So would you say, and every expansion always adds a lot of everything, new civs, new maps, new scenarios, but mainly this is focused on improving the cultural side of the gameplay?
Yeah, so the culture and late game.
Gotcha.
And doing stuff with, they've got a new World Congress, they've got new trade mechanics, they've got new, they've added tourism, they've added just a ton of stuff, and there's no way we're going to be able to talk about all of it today.
Nope.
But and honestly, I don't fully understand everything yet because I've only gotten to play like 2 or 3 games.
Civ is a big game. So we're sort of taking a look at a game, or an edited version of a game you played earlier. Who are you here?
I am Monaco here, which it was locked in for the preview. And here we're talking about, or we're showing some new mechanics. You can, instead of using spies, you can use them as diplomats.
Okay.
So when you send these guys to cities, enemy cities or allied cities, you can send them there, and they can help you to convince those people to vote the way you want them to in the new World Congress stuff.
Gotcha. Also, you're Morocco, not Monaco.
Oh, yeah.
Same, close. It's very close. Just a couple letters
M's
different
and
there.
O's everywhere.
So the diplomats now, that's pretty cool. I mean, the spy stuff in base Civ 5 was a little bit like simplistic.
Well, there wasn't any initially.
Right after they added that in the first DLC.
Or the first expansion.
Right, first expansion. Now they're building.
Right.
Cool.
And it's still under the espionage tab.
Gotcha.
So what we just saw there was some trade stuff, and the trade is now like there are actual units here. Like you can see the camels here are the land trade routes that are automatically going to and fro. Like they kind of work like a bomber here. So you say establish trade route, and then you get to choose where it goes. And you don't get to control that unit itself, or you don't have to control it itself, which is kind of nice, and you cannot control it.
Right.
But you just pick this route, and you pick the reward you want from this trade route, and you refresh it every so often.
Are the trade routes, are these between your empire or kingdom, or between people that you're allied with?
Yeah, so you have to be allied with it. It can also be internal, but the rewards aren't as good.
Gotcha.
You can get science, food, production bonuses. You can pressure. You can exert religious pressure to spread your religion around.
Do you think they're camels because you're Morocco? Like, do you think it's based on?
I think that's just the caravan for that period. I don't know. I've only been able to play as Morocco. So
gotcha. Right, because that was what was locked into this demo.
Right. So here's more stuff about the trade. You can do both land and sea trade routes like this. So the thing that's cool about them being physical units on the map, though, is that if you are attacking somebody, you can kill their trade.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
So this is the new culture.
You gotta protect them. Okay. Oh, and we got, wow, this is much more elaborate for culture.
Yeah. So this is actually almost like loot, because all these things are great works that have been created by artists. Like you spawn great people. And there are more of them this time, so you can spawn like great writers, great musicians, and great artists. And one of the uses for them is to create a new type of artifact, basically.
Artifacts. Oh,
and
that's cool.
And those go into different slots that are in, like if you build a museum in a city.
Oh, so they're almost like equipment slots.
Exactly.
Like that's what you mean by loot. That's interesting. I mean, it's interesting that the great people. I didn't think that they were broken or simplistic and basic, but then when they add a feature like this, you're like, oh well, that totally makes sense.
There's like initially the only non-combat use for them was to either enhance a tile or to to start a golden age. But now that they've got so much more stuff they can do here. There's another way you get stuff for this, and we'll be seeing that in a minute, is the archaeology gameplay, which is actually pretty cool because you know how in the beginning they've got you're going around collecting these huts,
right, from the barbarians.
These ruins. Yeah. Well, they've got
and
barbarians
the ruins. Yeah.
But the ruins, they promote exploration and looking around the map. Now with the archaeology system, Oh, I'll talk about this too. Actually,
Yeah.
I'll talk more about archaeology when we get there.
Sure.
But they treat tourism as culture offense and culture generation as culture defense. So if you want to win a culture victory now, you have to produce more tourism than the other guys are producing culture.
Oh, interesting.
And there's a variety of ways of doing that. Okay, here's archaeology.
Gotcha.
So that is an archaeological site. You build an archaeologist, which is kind of like a worker, and he goes and you have to actually manually find these archaeological sites, which are created by events that happen historically. So if there's a battle on a tile, that's marked, and then later, once you reach the mid game, these are exposed, and then you send archaeologists there to dig them up. And you get to either create a new artifact or enhance the tile.
That's actually super cool that it's not, you know, just sort of arbitrary, but
Right.
it's based on the history of your world, your Civ world.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I like it a lot because it really gives you something to do with units. You know, after if you're not fighting, you're playing a more passive role. You don't have to just kind of keep hitting the enter key to skip. Here's another thing they've done is add these ideologies.
Right.
And there are a bunch of different ones. It's basically a whole nother tier of upgrades. And you're picking from a menu of like different sets of these trees. Like this is a whole other tree within a tree.
Right.
That you unlock when you get to the modern era. So when and it's something else to spend your culture points on. Like initially, if you were generating culture, you just have all this culture and you have nothing to do with it at all.
Yeah.
And now you can get even more upgrades, and you select from a bunch of different options.
Yeah, I mean, you see the social policies that you adopted in base Civ 5, where, you know, there was a lot of them. You had a lot of choices to make, but once you sort of picked one, you didn't have much choice within that. You know, you had about 4 or 5 things that you were building to, and now this just sort of adds another layer inside there.
Yeah, it's all of the stuff in here is really geared towards getting you out and or, you know, getting culture-focused players engaged while other people are fighting, basically.
Gotcha. And you can see some of the options here. You know, you kind of have to pick and choose what ones you want. You know, there's always an opportunity cost with anything that you're going to adopt.
Yep. It's really a really interesting system. I mean, it will obviously bear out over time, like how it works once people really start playing with it. But okay, so here's the World Congress.
Mm-hmm.
So once you get to a certain point of development, or once the world gets to a certain point, you're automatically introduced to everybody, and you start having all of these all these meetings, like every 20 turns, I think it is, where you get to propose like a global policy.
Sure.
And we'll get to those in a second here, but
right now you're just kind of doing basic diplomacy.
Yeah.
You want an embassy in each other's country. You know, so all that kind of low-level stuff.
Yep. But you can see up at the top there, the World Congress has been founded.
Right.
And that's an entirely new system. And these are the Polynesians here. They really didn't like me in this game.
No.
And for pretty much no reason. No, actually, they've gotten a little bit better about you know, arbitrary attacks, but they still happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the World Congress, and you can see how as you progress through the ages, you get different numbers of delegates that you can use to vote.
Cool. So we're gonna propose something here. What should we propose?
I kind of forget what I proposed here. But
Well, we're gonna see it live then.
But they've got some interesting ones. Oh yeah, you can propose a world religion, which if you have enough followers of your religion, you get even more bonuses, basically, because like several civilizations agree that should be the world religion.
And so does this go back to, maybe we're gonna see this in a bit, but does this go back to diplomacy? Like, how are you able to push things through that, you know, maybe aren't beneficial to other countries?
That's what those diplomats are for.
Gotcha.
Instead of spying, it's like I'm going to say, hey, you should vote my way on this.
Yeah.
And they call it schmoozing. Like you go like this diplomat is schmoozing, and he is telling them that they should vote your way. So the way this works is this is one of the cool ones actually for a culture player, standing army tax.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it more expensive for anybody to have a bunch of troops.
Gotcha.
So after the proposal, here you've got the voting, and this happens a turn or two later. You can spend your delegates to say I want this to go one way or the other, and you can vote against it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also vote to repeal something later, which is kind of cool. So I had plenty of delegates here.
You want that standing army tax.
So I threw them all in there. I still don't think it passed. So that'll do it for our all too brief look at Civilization 5 Brave New World. It's out July 9th. For some reason, they're only letting us show 10 minutes of video footage, but okay. Justin, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And yeah, for all your Civilization 5 Brave New World needs, keep it on IGN.